Hey, there's a lot of war out there and it's happening everywhere, and people are getting nervous and people are getting frightened, and nations are building up militaries and they're aiming it at each other. But today, I'd like to introduce you to a man whose daily occupation is peace. Is peace. Hi, I'm Michael Shevack. Welcome to Godsearch. We're not here to prove God exists. We're not here to debate whether God exists. We're not here to create yet another religious war. We are here because there is, whether you have a faith, another faith, no faith, there is a concrete experience in life of good. Shorten that and you have God. And that experience has unity to it, it has truth in it, and you can learn to use what is commonly called your free will, your technological abilities to enhance life for everyone. That's the experience we call God. Today, I have with you a Patrick Jouan. He is the vice president of the FPU if you speak French. That's the Fondation de Paix Universelle. It's the Universal Peace
Peace
Foundation,
Federation.
and it's all over the world. And he's here to tell you what he does to enhance his God search. So, Patrick, tell me about the Foundation for Universal Peace, and tell me about your God search.
Mm.
How did this whole start for you?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you to ask my testimony about peace, working for peace. Well, I have to go back to my youth, to my young age, if I may, just to explain that it was God for me, searching me, trying to call me, in fact. And so, sure, after I was calling God, but beginning, it was some like when I was before 10, I had some bad dreams. And I was with my parents living in a three-story house, three floors. And then in my dreams, I was trying to climb up to the top of the house to see what's there. But right away, some demons, bad spirits, were like pushing me down, pursuing me down the stairs. So I was ending up like rolling down the stairs and arriving to the ground floor, saying to my parents, please help me. But anyway, it was a bad dream, so they didn't know. So I tried to share, but they were, oh, it's just bad dreams, Patrick, forget about it. Anyway, it lasted until we stayed in that place, and then we moved near next to the seaside. It was a nice place. And then just once, I had a special experience. The daughter of my best friend's parents had an accident. She was like me, 11, 12. She died. It was very tragic. And then, so anyway, sometime later, I don't remember when it was, I was in my garden, relaxing under the sun, smelling the sea flavor, if I can say. And then I heard my name, Patrick, Patrick. And I recognized who it was. It was that girl. But she was nowhere. I say, what's that? I am crazy or what? Well, anyway, but nobody could answer again, so I just continued. But I think it was like pulling me away from, daily life and the busyness of. Anyway, so I started to decide what I want to study later. And because in Catholic Church, I was raised as a Catholic. In Brittany, my hometown is anyway Catholic. But as they could not answer some question about Jesus, about God, and always like it's a mystery. We don't know. God is mysterious. We cannot know. I say, wait a minute. Jesus called God my father, so I don't think my father want to keep any secret for me. So for me, it was logical. And then, so anyway, I follow this teaching, but on the same, on the side, I was reading a lot of books. just some historical books or and then I was suddenly feeling I have to find answers to my question. If the Catholics, my parents, and nobody can answer, maybe I can find some results, some answers. So, anyways, I continued my study, decided to do science, biology, and I felt maybe I can find answers. You know, how the world is working, my body, how it's working, and the nature. And I could see it like interdependence between human beings and the nature. And yeah, that was my
Who
also
was the girl?
huh?
Who was
Oh,
the
she,
girl? I'm very
well,
interested in some of the psychology behind these awakenings.
well, it was another family, and they were from the hometown like my parents, but
Hmm.
they went to work another place in the Alps near the Mont Blanc in
Were
the
you
Alps.
interested in her?
No, no, we were 11 or 12, you know, we were just good friends, you know, like I didn't have any sister, so I felt, oh, she can be my sister.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then, but she was so young, I think she was innocent. So, tragic accident was a way for her to be like redeemed and to pull me out, like to say, hey, there is another world existing, Patrick. I felt after like that, but beginning I didn't know why. But after I concluded, she was like calling me, "Hey, help me out, and I will help you in
Yeah,
your quest."
right. I'm
It
in
was like a give and take action
there's a realm
between
behind us. Right.
between the spirit world and us. But
That's
then,
that's fantastic. That's an
yeah,
amazing thing.
so that's why I could not but look for where it come from. Why?
Yeah.
We are speaking about the natural world. Sure, it's nice, and I could feel some sense of there is something else. So
There
when I study science, you know, like I was at the same time how you call nuclear science, astronomy, philosophy, all kind of things. I was
right,
reading like crazy. I had a library by myself when I was 15 or 16.
right.
But especially through science, I thought maybe I can answer. And especially I read uh, um, a famous Jesuit who was also anthropologist, scientist. And what is his name? And he was saying that in the like last days in our time, science and religion should unite. And then I said, "Oh, wow, yes," because I'm thinking, feeling with my spirit, and I am with my body touching this world. So yeah, we need to have this unity of spirituality and physique.
So you had an imprint on you from
Yeah.
a very early age
Yes.
that you were going to
Yes.
be pushed down, that you were going to be pushed and held down. And
Mm.
then you moved and you had a visitor
Hmm.
who connected earth and heaven. She had been, and through a tragedy, and
Yes.
therefore she wasn't held back. In other
No.
words, she wasn't held back at all. She was kind of moved to a new realm. So your fear
Exactly.
of being pushed down was not
Mm.
it's kind of turned upside down by her.
Right.
And then it was only natural for you to want to how do you
Mm.
take this world and that world and piece them together? And of
Exactly.
course, science and
Like my
religion,
mind, like my spirit, my mind and body to
that's
put
right.
together.
Well, the most important thing is that, and this is, I think, where everyone messes up, is that they take religion and they put it in a category called religion,
Hmm.
and then they make life in a
Yeah.
category, and they
Exactly. Yeah.
call life secular and they call the other one
In
religious, but you're dealing with one reality of human
yeah.
experience
Yeah. Mm.
with different labels. And it's like going to a university and learning mathematics and saying it has absolutely nothing to do with music. Well, they're related.
Yeah.
And even the
Hmm.
structure of music is related to the structure of language. It's all
Absolutely. Yes.
different viewpoints of oneness.
There is like a yeah a core. There is like a
So you felt that call, and where did
yeah.
the call led
So
you where?
anyway, so I study this. uh, anyway, I continued to study biology, biochemistry, but at the same time reading other books on science.
Right.
And then when I arrived to enter university, I decided scientific university, medical university,
Right.
because I felt God is good. There is a God for sure. I said, this one, like genetics, prove me God exists. Because the way life is created through genetics, we learn um, atoms, and after we learn about when you have love relationship, husband and wife, there's a child can be conceived. And I say that's a genius, you know. It's not by some chance or hazard. It's like a preparation to for life to exist. And these two person meet, they have a loving relationship, and life is coming out, you know. I say that's when you study DNA, you know, DNA, how it's made up, and
Right.
the process is, I was like, wow. More I was studying, and I thought, God has to exist anyway.
Well, the important thing about the genetics for me
Yeah.
is that proof of God is a very difficult thing. But the important thing about the genetics is that y- it it clearly indicates an intelligence,
Mm.
a
Exactly.
conceptual intelligence that is involved in the transmission of traits.
Yeah.
And it's a simple language code,
Yeah.
of, four amino acids. And I'm simplifying everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've,
I mean, because now we
mm,
have a lot, the messenger RNA is becoming really dominant to DNA.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
simplifies the language of
Mhm.
life. And
Especially, it was like not just a love story, but it was a complementary,
yes, it
you
was
know, like
complementary.
female, male. It was like, wow, it's a genius, you know.
Yeah.
Our two become one, and they create another one.
Right. And you reduce the
And I
first.
felt not just, sure, I study science, so I was very scientific to conclude on that, but I felt something else. My spirit was, there is somebody very intelligent, if I can say, very genius, who made such a way. Because it's just not once, it's a
Right.
continuing story. And then also in the natural world is the same. Stamin, pistil, male, female. So it was obvious, it was like a code, a code
It is a
giving
code.
life. And I felt it's not just physical, there is something marvelous. And also you feel joy, you know. Normally, when you make love to somebody, you feel excited or love or something, you know. So it gives a result of happiness or not, maybe sure in some case, but I mean, usually. So I felt there is a plan behind the nature, behind all this which exists. It's not some hazard. So, um, yeah, so I went into that direction, and sure at that time was, you know, the movies, some movie about spirit world. How you call this movie? Famous movie was like, wow, in 73, 72, 74.
I don't know.
Uh,
Remember
some
Poltergeist?
possessed girl, you know?
I think it was Poltergeist or no, The
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Exorcist.
And I went to my cousin who was finishing his studies, and at the end, he said to me, what do you think? Do you believe in that? I said, there is something true. Maybe it's through a movie, but there is a spiritual, there is a spiritual world existing somewhere. And anyway, so yeah, so I felt God has to exist. We
Yeah.
cannot do otherwise, because the plant through genetics and the science, and so I was convinced deep inside. But who is he? So sure, I study, in France, we have a lot of philosophers, thinkers, religious people too, a lot,
Right.
Joan of Arc and so on. So I felt this guy are not crazy, Joan of Arc. She was not crazy, right? Anyway,
She was
and
astonishing.
and then I was thinking about this Jesuit, famous. He was a noble man, and he was also anthropologist. And he clearly said God created this world with science, spirits, and it has to be united in
I'm
order
just
to
thinking
bring
of
life.
Lemaitre, who discovered the Big Bang.
Uh-huh.
He was a Jesuit. Mendel was
Yeah,
a Jesuit who
yeah, right. Many
discovered.
Jesuits were Nobel
I'm
Prize.
also thinking, since, by the way, out there, we are in Paris. So,
Mm. Hmm.
bonjour.
Yeah.
I was also thinking just to what you said about, gee, who is God and how is I
Hmm.
was also thinking about Sartre. Okay, because Sartre said, and he was a French atheistic
Right.
existentialist. He
Mm.
wasn't
Hmm.
like Kafka, who was the beginning of the existentialist movement, and he believed in God. But Sartre said the issue is not whether God exists.
Hmm.
He says the issue is if he exists, what difference does his existence make to us?
Right.
To your earlier point, either
Hmm.
there is a way to connect to God,
Hmm.
either we can know God, as your point about Jesus calling him Father. If we cannot connect to God and we cannot have an effect of God upon us, and we cannot have an actual relationship that is, mutuel, you know,
Right.
that then God's existence is meaningless. So
Hmm.
that's why here on Godsearch, we concentrate on what is the experience of God. What is it that you are doing in relationship to life or to reality or existence or God or the universe? Those are all issues of scale, and they're very complex issues. But what are you doing and what effect is it producing?
Yes.
So when did you turn your personal God search into
So,
a offering to the world?
yeah. Well, it's because I committed myself to God. When I found through my studies this point and I felt deep inside God exists, or some God exists, let's say. And I said, if you exist, God, I understand you wanted a good world. I can see through science, all things are functioning in harmony. So what went wrong? So in the Bible, we speak about Adam and Eve and the fall and the destructions and so on. But that's why I said I will study science to find what is the origin of evil. Because if you are the origin of goodness, God, then what is the origin of evil? Because I don't see any evil in this natural world. Something fighting or destroying the other one, that's only human beings. So I said there is something wrong, which went somewhere, sometime. But nobody answered to me. I said, so God, if you answer two or three questions, I will do whatever you ask me to do.
Interesting.
So anyway, I was looking for that, so I studied science to find what is a virus who contaminated humanity
I understand.
with, and as the Bible said, everything was good at the beginning. So I said, what went wrong? So they say Adam and Eve ate an apple and so on. I said, I don't believe it. Something else happened. So it's obvious if you have a common sense, you cannot believe that. So, but I was kind of suffering because of this situation. Because, God created everything in harmony, but what happened? And fighting like crazy, killing each other, another tribe killing another tribe. I said, this is nonsense. We are not here to do these kind of things. Anyway, and then when I went to on the campus to study, one day I met somebody who invited me to a conference. And he said, do you believe in God? And so on. I said, I believe in something God you can call, but I have question about it. So anyway, I went to the conference, but I was a tough guy because I knew many philosophers, scientists who were atheistic. So I was using their language to fight against what he was trying to prove to me. But then I went to a seminar of 1 or 2 days in a weekend, next weekend, and I had a deep experience. I felt these people have love in themselves and
Hmm.
joy. And through the lecture, anyways, they spoke about God's ideal and the origin of evil.
Hmm.
I was like, wow. It was the misuse of love between the Lucifer, the archangel, and Adam and Eve. And then God's ideal of love was destroyed because they misused between themselves,
Hmm.
misused God's love.
Right.
And I thought, yeah, it makes sense. There is no real love in this world. Do you love me, but do I love you? Should be the question. Do I love this person sincerely or not?
Right.
Because love is not something you take, it's something you give, right? And as God is a creator, he gave to us. So I thought that makes sense. Life is giving. My parents gave me life. They didn't ask me to pay back. Patrick, you owe me 1 million euros. No, so it was a gift. So I said, God is the same. He gave to us this world, us, ourselves. So anyway, but when I found out what is this evil, is the source of evil, this virus is a fallen love, selfish love. That Lucifer uh, well, betrayed God, but also betrayed Eve, then Adam. Then from there, the lineage started to be centered on selfishness, not real love, selfishness. And then we can see the Bible history, First Testament or Second Testament, speak about family. Noah, Moses, Abraham. It's all matter of families, right? Because the first family did not succeed in
Mm.
establishing an ideal world. That's what inspired me. And I say, wow, God, you answer my question about yourself, but also origin of evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I felt, so God, what shall I do? Because I was studying and I was thinking, anyway, to find some nice lady around and so on to do my life as usual. But then I said, I made a covenant with you, God. So, but I felt as we study in history, I have to make some kind of condition to show God my goodwill. So, God, I will pray 21 days, 21 minutes, and then tell me what I should do. So that's what I did. And exactly the last day, my spiritual senses opened up. I was surprised. And I saw from above me,
Hmm.
heaven, let's say, I saw a powerful light. Like light was everywhere, but a warm light. And I saw the founder of Universal Peace Federation with his wife, Ron Moon and his wife, and Jesus on the cross. I was like, wow. And then I was like, oh yeah, I want to go to this nice world of love and harmony. But then somehow I turned my head down and I saw hell. It was not fire. It was the hands of people trying to reach my hand
But
to
couldn't
to pull them out
pull them out.
of this darkness. They were in darkness shouting, but their face was distorted face. It was like, "Ah, we are suffering, help me." So I felt, so you want me to be like a missionary for peace? You want me to
You
be
are.
like, yeah.
You
So,
you are.
yeah. So, in fact, that time was very important, like a turning point in my life. I said, okay, because I knew, because of some social situation, uh, the leader of the movement was persecuted and so accused of wrong things anyway. So I knew it will come to me. So in fact, yeah, it can pull you down, but it also can strengthen your faith. Because I had to pray to God, say, sincerely, God, do you want me to do that, or shall I just leave it alone? Thank you for the experience. I just do, as people expect me to do, my parents and so on. But I said, I cannot. I cannot because I see the world is in bad shape. So shall I do something for it or not? So even if it was anyway some negativity around with the media and so on, I try to do my best. So I agreed to participate to different activities from that time on. But at that moment was like more like a pioneering stage. So it took, I don't know if I can go on, but a long time to reach where I am now with when the UPF was created in 2005. And I felt the dimension to build peace is properly set by UPF, Universal Peace Federation, because it brings together all part of life and people who are scientists, parliamentarian,
Yeah,
in government, religious people especially, because if religious people fight, then everybody can fight. It's a good excuse.
sure.
Uh, so I had to develop myself because it's easy to say love one another, but if you don't love yourself, how do you do, right? So I had to recognize in me God's nature through my own personality because we're all unique, right? You are unique. I am a unique. In the world, we are unique. So I felt I have to be a better person and develop my heart, my mind. And so anyway, we did with UPF, and I met the founder a few times. And when he gave the vision of the end of communism in the 80s, I was in America, in the States.
Right.
And coming from Europe, my dad, when we're looking at the TV with in October, there is a USSR who was showing all the guns and tanks and fighters. And America too show it. But my father was saying me, when these people come here, we are finished, he said to me. Communist Russia, I mean USSR. So I felt scared because I saw my at my anniversary, I saw Kennedy being killed. It
Sure.
was November 22nd, I am born, like Charles de Gaulle. And then I saw that day how Kennedy, a good, even my father was shocked and cried, why they killed him? Why they killed him? So I said, oh, wow, there is some bad guys around here. Anyway, so when the founder in 80s, 85 said, let's have a conference in Switzerland, it will be the end of communism soon. I said, what? Myself, I was, what? It's impossible. These guys are so powerful. But he was right. He was right.
Yeah.
So anyway, as we know, 1989, the Berlin Wall came down and East and West changed completely. And then I could go to East Europe, Poland, and other countries to work for peace. These people were so eager. Yes, we want peace. Help us. And in France, we say, what do you want to do for peace, Patrick? So it was a deep experience. These people, in fact, God-loving people, in fact, in the east of, because they were persecuted by the atheistic communists. So I could strengthen my faith in God.
Mm.
Yeah, God, there is some good people out there. Let's find them and work together.
You know,
So,
what I
yeah.
find is so interesting about what you're saying is there's a logic to your path.
Hmm.
In other words, you have your mystical fair share of mystical experiences, and we all do. Everyone out there, when you get on your God
Exactly.
search, the more
Yeah.
continue, you'll have the uncanny experiences that normal reason cannot possibly explain.
Yeah.
Normal Aristotelian reason. But what I find fascinating is that first you are aware of the language of genetics, and there has to be intelligence, some form
It
of
has to be.
intelligence that is involved in the
Mm,
coding and continuity of life as knowledge,
mm.
because that coding is a language. So
Right, exactly. Yeah.
there had to be some kind of conceptual
Mm,
structure to it. The
mm.
second thing is you rediscovered through that, and I find this fascinating, is you revalidated the spiritual path of breeding that is outlined in the Bible, and which implies that God is would be capable, if you follow the logic, God would be capable through the conceptual apparatus and the language he speaks to encode a human being who could be more and more fulfilled and more, I hate the word, but more and more perfect or more than more good.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
it was not just merely part of a miraculous system, but it was
Yes.
also part of a natural system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once you had those two pieces of the puzzle in place, there was no doubt that there was God. And to Sartre's critique,
Hmm.
God
Hmm.
absolutely, genetics proves God absolutely has meaning. You validate the historical narrative that's outlined in the Bible. You pick up that continuity through the movement that you've created, and you reach out to the entire world. This is an
Hmm.
unbelievable transformation from a boy who's feeling the thumb of the weight of evil upon him at a very early age.
Hmm.
I mean, it's really, truly remarkable. By the way, if you're tuning in right now, welcome to Godsearch, and go to yourgodsearch.com and strike up a conversation with Patrick and myself, and let's keep the ball rolling in terms of finding who this mysterious entity called God is.
Hmm.
So tell me, in Patrick, the world's pretty messed up. We're coming to a close.
Yes.
Tell me, what is the single thing that the world actually needs? And if you're going to say love, we can sing the song together. What the world needs now? Seriously, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you see as
No, we need
needing?
love for sure. We need love and truth. We need to find the truth.
Right,
We need to find my true self and true God, true creator of the universe.
right.
You know, we have to find this truth in ourselves and in the other one. Even if there is some bad guys around, there is something good in him or in her.
That's
So,
interesting. So
but that's not easy to find because I have been in Africa or different countries, and the white guy arriving, and what he wants, this guy again, he want to misuse us or what? No, I say no, sorry, we are human beings, right? You are, I am. So same value in front of God and
yeah,
to each other.
yeah,
So sometimes we had to convince, and I even had to repent. Sorry if my ancestor did some bad things to your ancestors, but let's make a new start. So I
yeah,
did it. And I realize God wants me to be humble because when you have a common level, by humility, by sincerity, these two words are very important, sincerity and humility. If you put on the table, based on that, you can find common points to share, to
yeah.
discuss, to agree on, you know,
I would also put humility first,
first, yes.
because I may have my own view of God in here,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you may have yours, and someone may have theirs, and any national leader would have theirs.
Hmm.
But I think the humility to admit, and this goes
Yeah.
all the way God Search episode number one,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
that you have to be able to admit that you do not know the complete truth
Yeah.
yourself, and
Yeah.
therefore you have to be able to reach out in relationship to other people.
But the difficulty, is, especially when we did in Jerusalem, so inter-religious activities, is that everybody said, "Oh, I have the truth. I have a part of the truth. Don't tell me anything else." But I say, "No." I say, even Jesus said, "I speak to you in symbols and parables. I
Yeah,
will come back and tell you the whole truth."
Yeah.
So when I met the founder, Reverend Samuel Moon, and his wife, he explained these points to me. God is a parent. He's not just a creator. He's a parent. He's a both man, woman, masculine, feminine, internal, external. And so he created us as his own image, you know. But people were not ready to receive the whole truth. When Moses came down from Sinai, the Mount Sinai, what he had to do to break the laws,
Well,
because
in,
people were completely turned around against
well,
God.
yeah, in Deuteronomy, they
So,
mention God being
but
a,
he just gave 10 commandments. And Jesus came and spoke about love, about forgiveness, about, all these things. But the great priest said, "Oh, you cannot forgive this lady. You have to stone her to death." He said, "No, because she committed evil with you, with people, right? Not by herself. So everybody has something to be sorry about." So I felt very good. And the founder shows that because he was in jail, he was in prison in North Korea, for example, but he did not try to revenge with the Kalashnikov. So I felt if we show such a way, as you say, based on humility, to forgive or to repent or whatever, since simple steps can help us to find love to give. So,
no,
so that's one.
I completely agree. I mean, we would have a deeper discussion about
Yes.
your view of my scripture
Hmm.
and my view of
Hmm.
yours and really what I think was actually being taught. I think
Yes.
confusions there. But basically, I agree. I think the value of the idea of God as a parent, sometimes people can't accept it because they've had lousy parents. And
Exactly.
it's a
Right.
it's a bad metaphor. But I
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
think I think the instrument that's being said is that just as a parent may discipline a child in a way that isn't pleasant to the child's sense of self at times and may actually hurt. And I'm not by any means advocating disciplining children by hitting them. It's a little old-fashioned for me. Uh,
Yes. Hmm.
Nonetheless, the notion that we are in life and experiencing sufferings and difficulties and challenges, and yet it is still part of the fabric and tissue of a goodness
Right.
that is here.
Mm.
Even even bunny rabbits reproduce because they have no defenses except their numbers. So if the wolves
Mm.
get them,
Mm.
you know, well, that's great. You can get lots of bunnies for Easter because of that, but it's a defense mechanism. And so
Yes.
even the wolf is
Mm.
there to keep down the excesses of the bunnies, which would reproduce out of whack. And there the pain is part of the mixture of goodness that our mind can't fully take in.
Mhm.
Humility. Patrick Jouan, thank you for being here. Thank you for representing the Fédération Universelle,
Universal Peace Federation
or Universal
in
Peace
English.
Federation.
Or la
Thanks for being
Fédération
here.
pour la
Thanks
Paix
for being
Universelle.
a friend and reaching
Yeah.
to everyone with your God search. This is
Thanks to
Michael
you.
Shevack. Uh,
Thanks to you,
thank you.
Rabbi.
Thank you for
You're
being
a
here,
good
everyone.
master
Thank you for
as a
being
rabbi.
what?
You're a good guide as a rabbi.
Thank you.
That's important.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Mm.
Thanks to everyone being here on God Search every Wednesday about 5:45 Eastern Standard Time or daytime, depending on whether or not you have daylight saving times. This is Michael Shevack. Uncover God, discover God, and if you got lost and demons were pushing you down like they did to Patrick, for heaven's sakes, recover God because the experience called God is real. God bless.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Patrick. Thanks so
Yeah, thank you
much.
to you.
God bless.
Shalom.
Shalom.